Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the second video on the channel. I appreciate all of your support on the first one. I really liked all the comments I received, and I thank you all for subscribing and liking it, as I hope you did, and I hope you do again with this video, if you enjoy it. Also, you may have noticed that my video quality has markedly improved. That is because I figured out that my phone is much better at recording video than my computer is. And I've decided to go with that. So I've got a bit of a new setup going on here, which I think is going fairly well. Moving on to the topic at hand today, I will be talking a bit about some more of my preferences in D&D 5th edition. Specifically, rather than monsters this time, I'm talking about my 3 favorite races and 3 favorite classes in the game, as these are kind of the building blocks on which anybody's given character is built. And I've got opinions about some of them, and I thought that it might be good to share those, since it's another thing that is a bit long for a tweet or anything else. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get into the list here. So, starting off with my 3rd favorite race, hailing from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, as seen here, is the Hexblood. That is a person who's been somehow influenced by hag's magic, whether they were a product of a deal made by their parents, or whether they made a deal themselves and found themselves inextricably changed. I just love the flavor of this class, personally. It's really cool that you are a fae. It's really cool that you are just connected to a hag innately, and that I've always had a bit of a soft spot for hags. They are incredibly interesting enemies, and especially as kind of a narrative development for any campaign, to have some powerful magic user that can grant a lot of very intriguing offers, but also have any of those offers come at a high price. I also think their abilities are super duper cool. I think that the trinket that you can give somebody, be it a lock of hair or much grosser, a fingernail or something, being able to like send messages to that person or scry on it from a distance is super cool, super flavorful. And additionally, the spells you get from this class, namely Hex, is really, really interesting. And I'd love to play like a Hexblood fighter and just be able to get Hex through this in order to bump up the damage of the million attacks I'll undoubtedly get. Moving on to my 3rd favorite classes, that is the Warlock. I really enjoy the customization, first and foremost, to this class. I feel like there's not another single class in 5e that has the level of just options that Warlocks have. It helps that they have essentially 2 subclasses with their initial pact at level 1 and then their pact boon at level 3, I believe. Though I have actually never gotten to play a Warlock in a long-term campaign myself. I've played a few one-shots in one campaign that went like 3 sessions, but I've never had a chance to really play one, but I've always wanted to. Additionally, as a DM, I love the story elements that Warlocks can bring into the campaign, with the supernatural forces shaping things, just like I talked about with the Hexblood, in that a hag could very much be a good Warlock patron as well. But particularly, I enjoy having them in the party for the story elements that can tie in as well. 2 of my last campaigns have been massively shaped by the Warlock in the party, invoking dark forces for good or for evil. Though I realize I said dark forces, so probably evil, but yeah, that's entirely subjective and up to the DM. The Celestial Warlock, special mention, is my favorite Warlock subclass by a mile. I love the inversion of any tropes, really. That's just something that, as a player and as a storyteller, I just love. But yeah, Warlocks, number 3. Moving on to my 2nd favorite race in 5th edition, we have the Half-Elf. Half-Elves are self-explanatory, half-elf, half something else, typically human. And where they really shine, in my opinion, is their mechanical strength. I think before Tasha's, they were far and away one of the best races in the game, simply for getting a +2 to charisma in addition to 2 other +1s in any score. In addition to 2 skills and Fey Ancestry and Dark Vision and an extra language. All of which combined is a lot of really good stuff, and really allows you to be flexible and play essentially any archetype you like. Part of the reason I like it so much is because my first 2 characters ever in 5th edition were half-elves, being a druid and a bard, respectively. And the variation in those classes can very much show the variety of different builds you can do with the interchangeable skill points for those +1s in each, which is kind of a precursor to what they did in Tasha's, but even still, I really like the flavorful aspects as well, particularly that adventurers who are half-elves might not fit into either elven or human society, and they might find themselves outcast. That could be a good drive to adventure and to find a place for themselves. This clearly be seen as what half of Vox Machina is half-elves, so I don't know, seems like something might be good there. But additionally, I just like the race a lot. I've played it a fair amount in my home games. It's really one that I would recommend. Going from perhaps the most non-traditional caster to the most traditional one, we have in my second place slot, the Wizard. This is mostly a pick as me as a GM, particularly because anybody who's played my game can attest that I have far too many Wizard NPCs. There's something about them. I like having a lot of smart, powerful people. And I think they also just have a tendency to push the story in interesting directions and also can act as good utilities for players to have. It's nice to have a friend who can teleport you around or have an enemy that can do the same. Or at least that wouldn't be nice for them. It would be nice for me. I played a Wizard for one campaign as a player, and I really enjoyed it. It was an Abjurer, and that was a super fun subclass to play. It was nice to be able to, do a little bit of tanking as a Wizard still. And I think my favorite thing with a Wizard, in both cases, as a DM and as a player, is the spell list. The just massive variety that you have access to is far and away better than any other class in the game for that. And just the amount of spells you have access to can really help you diversify your Wizard. And you can really make your own, depending on what spells you pick. There are definitely spells that are better than others, but any spell could be used by any Wizard. I really like them, and I need to play more in the future. So before we get into my favorites in either category, I'd like to go into two honorable mentions, one for each. Category for these being the race and class I think are the most mechanically powerful in 5th edition. Up first instead of race, and probably surprising no one, I believe the yuan-ti is the most powerful. Just the fact that you get innate spellcasting, immunity to a condition, and immunity to a damage type, and magic resistance, if I recall. It's just nuts. I've never allowed a player to play a yuan-ti in my games, and I don't think I ever will. Primarily because of those just incredibly powerful abilities. Like, classes don't get abilities like that until typically level, 11 or so. Additionally, in terms of most powerful class, I believe that's the Cleric. I think Clerics are just all around fantastic. The ability to switch between any spells you know at any given point is great. Being the best healers in the game is also great. The subclasses are very unique, and they change a lot between each. Particularly the two from Tasha's are incredibly powerful. And just the fact that it's able to have armor and shields and potentially be just a lot tankier than like a wizard or a sorcerer would be, while retaining just as much spell slots and potentially more versatility than that. It's just a lot, though they're very fun to play and always good to have in the party, especially for the players. But yeah, so getting into number one here. The moment you all been waiting for, number one, my favorite race in 5th edition is the Dragonborn. That was actually my initial inspiration to make this video, particularly that Fizban's Treasury Dragons just came out, and I love the new Dragonborn variations. I am somebody who even loved the Dragonborn from the Player's Handbook. It was incredibly underpowered, but I loved the flavor of it, and I loved just being able to play a character with a breath weapon in any case. My longest running character was a Dragonborn by the name of Therminor Luther. It was very fun. He was a Silver Dragonborn. And these new changes to Dragonborn, I wish they'd come out earlier because I would have loved to use them for my character. But just the variety you can get now between Chromatic Dragonborn being able to make themselves immune to their damage type, Gem Dragonborn being able to fly and read minds, and Metallic Dragonborn being able to do something else. Warding? Oh no, extra breath weapon. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, and they also have a ton of potentially interesting story applications. I know in my universe, Gem Dragonborn are a new creation, an evil wizard essentially created them purely from the arcane weave in order to serve as sort of a personal army type deal. And that's quite an interesting development that my players are currently dealing with, as one of them is a Gem Dragonborn. But yeah, they're far and away my favorite and have been for years. They've honestly been my favorite since before I've been played. I just liked the art I'd seen online of Dragonborn. But yeah, that is number one for race. last but not least, as my lighting changes because it's getting dark, is my favorite class in 5th edition. That is the Paladin. The Paladin was my least favorite class when I started out playing, because I really didn't know of it on like the stereotypical definition of it. I thought it was always just righteous, good hero who swears a holy oath, which to a degree can be great to explore as a Paladin. But then I played my Dragonborn Paladin, who I mentioned earlier, but didn't mention it was Paladin because I didn't want to give this away. And I just fell in love with the class. It's a perfect blend between a martial class and a magic class. You have just enough of both to feel like you're great at it. Just also having lay on hands as a resource is fantastic, and then it's healing that can't be counterspelled. Furthermore, just the story potential inbaked in the oath is incredibly interesting, and there are subclasses that exist out there for breaking your oath or trying to redeem yourself from an evil oath. There's something like that. There's just so much creative potential with the Paladin, and I just completely love it. I've not changed my mind more about a class, I think, ever. It's far and away my favorite by a mile. I also generally like charisma-based characters, which is probably why, 2 of them appear in this top 3, but I digress. Overall, Paladin just has a wide narrative potential, and I'm super duper excited to play another Paladin in the future and to have more in my games. I actually have my first Paladin ever in my home game right now, at least somebody starting out as Paladin, and it's been a very fun experience so far. Maybe I'll tell that story another day. So that was my list. What did you think? Do you agree with me, disagree with me? I'd love to hear any opinions, any thoughts in the comments below or on my Twitter, which you can find links to on my page. I hope you all have enjoyed. I hope you end up liking this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and all that, the stuff that I'm supposed to say, you know. And I hope you enjoy. Wednesday might be a regular day for me now for posting things, but I don't want to commit to that quite yet because it's only my second video. But yeah, no, I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to seeing y'all later. Bye.